Hey guys, and welcome to part 3 of my Guadalupe Ridge Trail through hike video series. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, I put the links for both of those videos down below. This is the section through Guadalupe Mountains National Park here in part 3, basically starting at the New Mexico-Texas state line and going all the way across the park, all the way to Guadalupe Peak, the highest peak in Texas. For obvious reasons, this was my favorite section of the trip. Most dramatic mountains, just a place that I'm really comfortable with. Just felt so great walking through that hiker gate at the state line and knowing the names of the peaks and the trails and distances, how far we had to go, and just being able to see places that I'd already been and been by. Just felt instantly comfortable. Really enjoyed this section. I enjoyed showing Todd certain sections of trails he'd never been to, and I don't know, just everything about this section I absolutely love. We made some great time through the national park, got to see some awesome stuff. Saw our first people on trail for the entire trip. Up to this point, we had not seen a single human since we left the trailhead 4 days earlier, so that was kind of neat. Anyway, I guess I should stop talking and let you guys enjoy this video. Thank you so much for watching these other videos, and I hope you enjoy this one as well. Yeah, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoy the video.
We just packed up camp. I woke up a little late this morning. Anyway, that's where we stayed last night, under those trees. Sounded super windy all night, but I guess how close we were to the edge, the wind was getting shot up over us because it really wasn't too bad at all. Feels really good this morning, a little cooler than the other mornings. And we got packed up real quick and I think we're ready to go. We both got plenty of water, maybe even too much to make it down to McKittrick Canyon trailhead. And we got about 5 miles to go, about 10 minutes till the state line, and it's gonna be a great morning. Well, here we are, made it to the state line. Got a hiker gate here. So fancy for way out here. I'm going from New Mexico. Now we're on the right side of the border over in Texas. Feels good. Todd found the ammo can up here. It's got a little notebook in here for you to write that you've been here, and probably read everybody else's stuff that they've written in there previous months and years. A really nice morning. Officially in Guadalupe Mountains National Park and in Texas. We just got to the Wilderness Ridge campsites, which I forgot to mention when we came into Guadalupe Mountains, starts the portion of the trail where you can no longer zone camp and just camp anywhere. You have to camp in designated sites in Guadalupe Mountains, and you'll have to already have a permit for that. So we got one before we ever started, and so it's kind of good because you know you have a specific place to camp, you know you're gonna have a spot, you know you're gonna have a flat, nice tent pad, but bad thing is you have to make it there, and that's the only place you can camp because that's what's on your permit. We just made it to the edge of the ridge, and you can see McKittrick Canyon wash down there. Just on the other side of that is a parking lot. I can still see my truck down there, which is a good thing. I'm gonna do a little car shuttle in here in a little bit. Straight out in the shot, very center of the shot right now, is Ship on the Desert. I think that was Wallace Pratt's second house. And we're right at the edge of the mountains, about to drop down a couple thousand feet, and then we got a long way to go after that. So we just made it to, I guess what you could call a notch of Wilderness Ridge Trail. Get a peek into both sides. Really cool area. Check out that huge cliff right there. Pretty awesome. And this is what we've been making our way down right here. That's definitely not the top up there. It keeps going up higher.
Not even close to the
Yeah.
top.
So if you think that's the top when you're coming the other way, you're sadly mistaken. Well, we just entered into the Wilderness Ridge Ocotillo Grove. This grove was planted here in 1914 by, I'm just kidding, it does look really cool though. This is the densest grouping of Ocotillos anywhere that I know. I just always thought it was really cool. They're especially cool when they get their flowers on the ends of them, but they're really wicked looking. They got these really sharp spines on them under all those leaves, but a really cool desert plant. We are coming across McKittrick Canyon Wash right now. That is the visitor center at McKittrick Canyon Trailhead, and we are done with this part of the trip. We gotta do some car shuttling, but it feels good to be back. And I actually saw some cars driving around up here and a couple people off in the distance. That's the first people we've seen in 4 days or so. Good to know there's some other people still alive out there. But yeah, we'll be back with you shortly. We always got the cars shuttled around, and we are headed back out on the McKittrick Canyon Trail. So this will probably be one of the highlights of the trip right here. Only bad thing is it's early afternoon, so we got a little bit of heat and sun to deal with, but I think the views and the experience of walking through McKittrick Canyon make it totally worth it. And we just got us some good, basically gas station food in White City while we were swapping the cars around. And we left one car at Pine Springs and brought one back here, so we're all set up, ready to go for the rest of the trip. Plan tonight's to make it up to McKittrick Ridge campsite. We got about 7.5 miles to go, and a heck of a climb. This is one of, if not the hardest climb in the park, and probably going to be the hardest of the trip that we've done, but be totally worth it once we get to the top. Oh, that's a nice sight to see, some flowing water. First time we've come across something like this on the trip, and this is the only stream like this in the park. Really neat. It flows underground a little ways up that way. That's why the wash that we crossed earlier didn't have any water in it. Well, we made it to Wallace Pratt's cabin, and just a really neat spot. We're about 1/3 of the way in on our trail today up to McKittrick Ridge, just a little bit under, but this is an awesome spot for a break and just a really cool structure. If you can see the stone roof on it back there, just crazy how they built this thing. And every once in a while they have it opened up, I believe, where you can go inside and check it out. But there's several little buildings, a garage back behind it, the main house. There's a little house down here where I believe they would generate electricity. Anyway, just a really cool spot, and I'll try to give you a few shots of the surroundings. So this is looking straight out the front door of the Pratt cabin. Not really a bad view. Walk you around kind of behind the cabin and show you what it looks like back there. This is the back of the house. A little closer shot of those stone roofs. Just amazing craftsmanship.
it took to put all that together, especially as long ago as it was and way out here. There's the garage where they used to drive their old truck in. You can't drive back here anymore, but that's why the trail's so flat and wide on the way up here. Mountains off in the background, plenty of madrones, pines. There's all sorts of plants, and that's one of the cool things about this hike is it starts out desert just like everywhere else in the park, and then the further you walk back here it just gets more lush and green. You start seeing trees that you haven't seen, and just a really cool, neat area. So we're going to take a break on the front porch, and after we leave out of here we are going to head toward the grotto and the hunter line shack before we make our way up to the ridge. This tree's a little confused, started its fall colors early. You can see some trees higher up in the washes up on the sides of the mountains that are starting to turn red, and just barely the ends of some of these leaves down here turning red. Another month it'll be bright down here, and I would love to come back and see that. Just took the side trail for the grotto. Really neat formation under here. It's just off the main McKittrick Canyon trail. Pretty neat spot down here. We're gonna come up here and take a break at these picnic tables and hopefully check out the hunter line shack, which is just past the grotto, in a really neat area also. Here is the hunter line shack, just straight up from the grotto. It's literally probably 2 minutes walk. And this is an old hunting cabin they used to use up here, and it's not near as nice as the Pratt cabin you see farther back up the trail, but still a really cool old cabin in a really nice, really cool scenic or picturesque area. But it is falling a little bit on hard times. Kind of some of the outbuildings turn into ruins. You can see they got plywood up over the doors, but I would love to see them do some restoration on this thing. It's a really cool little cabin out here. And the national park says that this is as far as you can go on this trail into South McKittrick. For whatever reason, I guess maybe they would know more than me. I don't really understand it, but we gotta turn around here and head back toward the grotto and then back into the McKittrick Canyon trail and then start heading back up. It's a little wider view of the grotto area. You can see all the picnic tables and the grottos straight through there right in the center of the shot. Really pretty. There's water in the stream down here. There's the creek right down there amongst all those plants. And this is the trail back this way to get to the line shack. Making our way up the ridge. Come a pretty good ways up. Should be able to see Hunter Line Shack, the roof of it, down toward the bottom of the shot. Just an awesome shot of the whole canyon. Just came to the notch, and the notch is just a little hole cut through the mountain. I mean, it's natural, but it is the gateway to the other side of McKittrick Canyon. And this is the side that not everybody gets to see, and just massive, massive cliff faces. Oh my goodness. That is really something. The scale of them, I mean, you just have to be here. It's so cool. This is a really cool spot, the notch. It's a popular day hike because you can see both sides of this canyon, but take a look at that. Well, we're making it. Slowly but surely, you can tell by the shadows of the mountains we're running a little low on daylight. And off in the distance, just out across from that saddle right there, you can tell it's raining a little farther out in the desert. We really don't have too much farther to go. I think between half to 3/4 of a mile. That's where we're headed up to over there. I don't think you can quite see where the campsite is, but we're almost to the worst part of the trail, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So here's what I was calling the worst part of the trail, and the only reason is it's a beautiful spot. We've done so good, got up to 7,000 feet, and then you got to drop back down across this little knife's edge bridge over to the other side, and then gain it all back, and that's where we're headed, right up there. So it's really not as far of a drop as I remembered, but that still sucks to have to give that up. Really pretty view though. All right, here's the view from the center of this knife's edge ridge. And this is looking back up toward the mouth of the canyon the way we came. You can see out into the desert now. We are very close to the top. I just cannot believe this view. It's about a 180. Crazy view. We are running very low on daylight, and the view keeps going back farther around here, but the trail kind of cuts it off if I'd walk just a little ways over there, but I'm a little too lazy to walk back right now. Man, this is just incredible. This is for sure the hardest hike in the park, coming up McKittrick Ridge, but man, these views are spectacular. Well, we made it. Just a little bit of sunlight left, and that was a tough hike, but we did make it. Right?
Absolutely.
And we're probably gonna take a little break here.
Little?
We're gonna take a small break, and then we're gonna get to hiking again tomorrow. Well, we're about to have dinner, and I'm having this spicy cheddar bean dip from Alpine Air, and I already had this once on this trip. It is delicious. I just use cold water. It's too much for me to eat by myself, but luckily Todd has some Fritos over there, so he's gonna have some of those. And what are you having tonight? He's having a Packet Gourmet All American Works burger. So we're gonna finally eat here in a minute. Had a long day, but been a really good day, and it was definitely a tough hike. But tomorrow we're gonna hike pretty much across the park and end up back at Pine Springs, and then head up to Guadalupe Peak campground. And that's the plan for tomorrow. So this is probably the last of this video for today. Today is day 5. Is that right?
I've lost track.
I think it's day 5.
Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
We started Monday.
Yeah, so day 5. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for day 5. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good morning, everybody. Let's start at day 6. We got up a little earlier this morning, trying to get an early start. It's probably be our longest day. We're definitely going to make it to Pine Springs and hopefully up to Guadalupe Mountain campsite tonight. It rained on us last night. We were seeing lightning, hearing a little bit of thunder off in the distance, and then not too long after we went to sleep started sprinkling a little bit, and then a little bit later started raining quite a bit harder, but it was never anything too bad. A couple pretty good gusts of wind, and everything's fairly dry this morning. Tent's a little bit damp, but we're gonna get a early start on it and get to it. We gotta pretty much hike most of the way across the park. Here we go. That mountain very far back center of the shot is Guadalupe Peak. That's where we're headed today, and I know you can't make it out on camera, but I can see the sun reflecting off the pyramid on top. So cool. You know, that's the ultimate goal, and it's just so crazy every day to see it get closer and closer. We're almost there. Well, we just got to our first trail junction for today. We got on the Tejas Trail from the McKittrick Canyon Trail. You head that way right there, you will head toward Dog Canyon down that direction. This is the Tejas Trail headed south back toward the rest of the park, and that is Blue Ridge right there that's blocking off the rest of the park. A really tall ridge. I'd call that probably the heart of the park. Really divides the park between its two sections, between Pine Springs side and the Dog Canyon side. Right now we're in a burnt forest. This all burnt 2 or 3 years ago in a big fire they had that covered almost all the park. This is one of the harder hit sections where most of the trees burnt. A lot of the other sections, mostly just underbrush and grass and things like that burnt. You can tell looking back this way just how thick that forest is. Everything's doing really well. Anyway, we've made good time. We're gonna head south. This will be our last trail to take us all the way down to Pine Springs, and then from there the Guadalupe Peak Trail. We just made it to the junction with the Blue Ridge Trail, which is a really nice trail and makes a really good loop from Pine Springs, and not bad views from here. Not bad at all. Little water pipe right there comes down from Bear Canyon and leads all the way back to the Tejas site. Back up that direction. Just made it to the junction with the Juniper Trail. Heads up that way. That's the way I always go when I come through here. But the official Guadalupe Ridge Trail stays on the Tejas Trail, so we're gonna head up this way. And I don't think I've ever been uphill this direction. I know it's a pretty good climb to get back up to Pine Top. We got 1.5 miles from here to make it back to the main trail junction before we start our descent down the Tejas back to Pine Springs. One thing I will say about this trail and coming this time of year is the wildflowers along the entire trail have been absolutely awesome. This whole hillside's covered in these yellow flowers, but all the way back to Carlsbad Caverns, I mean, they're obviously not as thick, but there's been wildflowers along the whole trail of every color, and it's been really nice to look at. Well, we just made it up to Pine Top, and I haven't even walked out to the edge yet. It was
It's too far.
yeah, pretty tough making it up here from Tejas campsite. There's Guadalupe Peak. That's where we're headed up to, and our campsite will be just behind where this bush, pretty much straight center of the shot is right now. Anyway, we'll be up there later today, and then up on the peak early in the morning. This is the main trail junction up here, and yeah, happy to be here. Got cell service, getting messages and sending stuff out. I'm trying to dry my feet out. My shoes are soaked from walking through all the wet grass and bushes and things like that, but man, we are making great time this morning. We're about to start the 3.6 miles down the Tejas Trail to Pine Springs, which is right down there. I'll show you that here in just a second. Here's a shot of the peak more from the edge. You can see the big switchbacks down there on the Tejas Trail where we're headed. And I told Todd just go ahead and leave me because he can fly on the downhills. He is really fast going downhill. And I'll be down there when I get down there. We should be down there right around lunchtime. We are making awesome time this morning, and we're gonna take a really good break down at Pine Springs and resupply with water and any more food or anything we need like that. Probably catch us some snacks, and then yeah, head back up. We are done with the uphill over here. Got a big long downhill and then just one more uphill on this whole trip up to the peak. Well, this descent down the Tejas trails not really much of a hike as it is a controlled fall. It is steep for a long way, and there's a lot of loose rock, so you really need to use your trekking poles, which I'm not using right now because I'm shooting this video, so I'll probably fall and break my leg here in a second, but at least you'll get to see it. Todd was running low on water right up there at Pine Top, so I gave him about half of what I had left. He thinks I did it to help him out, but really I did it to help me out. I didn't want to carry it all the way down. We are making crazy good time this morning. I know I've said that over and over, but we both have been worn out from this trail, and I don't know, I feel like my trail legs are starting to catch up with me because my legs have felt good. It's just my feet that are getting torn apart, and it's due to my shoes. And after this is over, I will show you what my shoes look like. They are definitely on their last leg. But I'll give you a shot once we get down to the bottom. We're about to make the big turn around to where I can see Pine Springs. Kind of wondering if the park is closed or what. I thought it was a fee-free day today. I figured there'd be a ton of people. We have seen a total of 3 people on the trail on this entire trip, all the way from Carlsbad Caverns all the way here. I've seen 3 people. It was one family. They were on McKittrick Canyon trail yesterday, and they were just doing a day hike. So if you're looking for an Appalachian Trail experience, come out and meet a bunch of people. This is definitely not the through hike for you. If you want some solitude, this is the place to be. Well, just came through the little notch here and you can see Pine Springs. I see a bunch of cars down there, visitor center, some RVs. So there's definitely people here. We just haven't seen them. Probably most of them doing the peak. I'll put the camera away and keep heading down. Well, we have made it back to Pine Springs. This is the trailhead. And hopefully my truck's still parked over there somewhere. Yep, I see it. That's good. This is the RV parking lot. They don't have much privacy for their spaces here, but anyway, here is the Pine Springs trailhead. We just got back at the same time, and we got down really quick. You know what our total time was?
1 hour, 13 minutes.
1 hour and 13 minutes, 3.6 miles. Got fueled up with some gas station hot dogs and Cheetos and all the good stuff that gives you all the energy to hike. And here we go, headed up. We got 3.2 miles to the campground. Be another mile to the top, which we're planning on doing early in the morning. And then that'll be it. Well, we're a little over a mile in. There's the Pine Springs parking lot right there in that big shady spot. But those people are enjoying that. It's been pretty sunny, but clouds are moving in. There's another chance of rain tonight, just like we got last night. And we're just taking it slow and steady. We were just talking about all those fins up there on the side of Hunter Peak. Really amazing geology up there. Here we are, 2.5 miles in. About another 3/4 of a mile to the campground. Set up our stuff. We've been really lucky with these clouds. Really hasn't been sunny hardly at all on this hike. There's the peak up there. Finally see it on this hike. All you are able to see up to this point is False Summit. There's the real deal right there. There's the end of the journey where we've been walking all these days to get to. We're at the side trail for the Guadalupe Peak campsites. We've come up 3.2 miles from Pine Springs, and now we got to head probably close to 1/4 mile this way
to set up our tents, and no telling if there's other people up here or not. Really weren't that many cars left in the parking lot, so we'll see here in just a little bit. Campsites are just over this rise up here and those trees, and just past the trees. So you can tell some of these clouds are getting a little darker. It'd be really great if it didn't rain tonight. Here is our campsite at the Guadalupe Mountain campsite. Got a packed house tonight. Almost every single tent pad is full. But we do have one of the best views off the mountain. We're in a slight change of plan. We're gonna go ahead and head up to the peak, just in case it's raining in the morning, and I don't know, I guess just the excitement of the trip. We're ready to head up there and have it officially complete. So we got 1 more mile to the top, plus this little 1/4 mile out of here back to the main trail. All said and done, I'll have to figure it up later, but we're gonna have done something like over 16 miles today. But we'll be done with the Guadalupe Ridge Trail, and that's pretty exciting. So here we go, the last mile, final push up to the top. Boy, it is getting dark up there. Please do not rain. We just got to the bridge section, highest bridge in the state of Texas. Everybody always gets this on their shot of their hike up Guadalupe Peak. All I care about is please do not rain. Well, it did start raining, and on top of that, it did start hailing. So that's nice. So the rain you just saw in the previous clip somehow messed up the connection between my microphone and my camera. So you'll hear a weird humming sound kind of in the background of the next couple clips to finish up the trip. Very unfortunate, but nothing I can do about it now. And just wanted to explain to you what exactly that was. Well, it stopped raining after about 10 minutes, but did get some pretty good hail. And there is El Cap. We are very close to the top. Look at that crazy view. That storm moved through real fast. It was just storming over there by Hunter Peak. Now you see it in the sunshine, and the storm's moved on past. All right, guys, just real close to the top. I'll give you a shot once we get up there. Well, here we are, 70 miles later. We made it up to Guadalupe Peak, top of Texas. Thank you very much for the invite.
Absolutely, my friend.
Here we are. That's it, into the Guadalupe Ridge Trail. We made it. Woo! Heck yeah.
I think you meant
Woo! Todd's been planning it for a long time, and he invited me along, and it feels really good to make it up here. And I think we're gonna take a break and take in the sights. Thanks for following along, everybody.